Well, the news that we kind of all feared once Galtier tested positive is that there are more cases in the French rugby team. So far, we're at 3 players and 3 staff who have been confirmed as positive cases since Galtier and one other staff member was reported having tested positive last week. The majority of the squad is still in isolation. Remember, these guys are playing Scotland this week. As I record this, it's a Sunday. So technically next week, Sunday. So in a week's time. So all these guys who have tested positive will not be involved in that in all likelihood, I would imagine. Maybe Galtier could potentially complete his isolation period in time for the game, but he certainly will not be involved in any of the preparation. So the guys who have tested positive thus far, you got Galtier, William Savat and Karim Ghazal, the coaching staff, so it's a couple of Fords coaches, and the head coach. So that's pretty bloody disruptive. Remember, Eddie Jones mentioned how disruptive it was when their Fords coach, Matt Proudfoot, tested positive. And in terms of the players, you've probably already heard that Antione Dupont tested positive. Like just your best player, which is pretty rotten news. But it was interesting because after I did the video about Galtier testing positive, people said, like, I think Dupont was seen like taking photos with Galtier at one point, like on the Monday. So it was maybe only a matter of time before Dupont tested positive. He has done so. Villere, the winger, and Haouas, the prop, have also tested positive. The rest of the squad thus far is all negative, but they will be having subsequent tests on Sunday. It's a Sunday as I record this, so today, France time, the rest of the squad will be having tests. It always seems to be the way that when there's one, there's going to be another one and another one, another one. You remember the Fijian squad during the Autumn Nations Cup. It started off as 1, then it was 3, then it was 5, and it just kept going. It seems like a bit of a domino effect. Hopefully that's not the case, because these guys have been isolating for a while now. So we'll have to wait and see. Also, Rebage and Gross are apparently known as close contacts of one of the guys who plays for Toulon as well. So it's potential that those guys are at risk of infection as well. So pretty bloody disruptive for France in terms of their preparation for this week's game against Scotland, assuming that game is able to go ahead. I think after the testing on Sunday, they'll be able to name their 31-man team to play Scotland. It will largely depend on who's still testing negative. So yeah, that is the plan at the moment. And also the French government has increased the isolation period apparently recently from 7 days, which was what it was at when Galtier tested positive, to 10 days. You're going to have to isolate for 10 days if you've tested positive. So all those players that I mentioned will definitely be out. As far as I'm aware, though, they're all asymptomatic cases so far, which is good news in terms of these guys' health. Hopefully they're going to be able to get back on their feet pretty soon without any kind of major health concerns. But in terms of the preparation for the match, very disruptive. In terms of the Six Nations, very disruptive. I mean, this is just the world we live in at the moment. But man, it just sucks, because when it was initially just Galtier and the one staff member, you were kind of hoping, please just don't let it be the rest of the squad. So far it is trickling down to other people. Nothing yet from Ireland. Remember, these are the last guys who played France a couple of days before Galtier tested positive. So nothing from the Irish guys about testing positive, which is certainly a bit of good news. And I guess the Scottish team will have to, I guess they'll just have to follow whatever the decisions are, but they'll be certainly slightly nervous in terms of the disruptions of themselves. If there's any players from the French side who end up testing positive, they may end up postponing. It's kind of one of those ones that we'll wait and see. If the French squad can go a few days without any positive cases, then we should be able to go ahead with the game. And if you remember from that Autumn Nations Cup final where the French played a totally changed team, it's certainly not going to be a lot easier for Scotland if it goes ahead, but I spelled French wrong. I don't want to start the video again, people. Apologies. Anyway, yeah, it's certainly, you'd be pleased if you don't have to play Dupont, man, anytime. That guy is just absolutely world class. But yeah, Obviously, no one would wish this on anybody. So, yeah, let's hope, knock on wood, again, that there's no more cases and they can kind of get their preparation done. And hopefully that's it for this competition and that we don't get any more cases, but we just have to wait and see. Anyway, wish these guys all well, speedy recovery and whatnot. You guys let me know your thoughts. Do you think the game will go ahead? Do you think it'll be disruptive for the French preparation? To what degree? Do you think this is a chance for Scotland to bounce back after their disappointing loss? Does this affect France's chance of winning a first Six Nations title in a decade? Don't know. You guys have any thoughts? Talk to you again soon. See you later.